in collaboration with the Government Law College at Nakulam and the Van Vollenhoven Institute for Law, Governance and Society.
We're truly honored to have a distinguished gathering of scholars, researchers, and students joining us both in person and virtually to explore the intersections of climate change law and education. For the next 2 days, we hope to foster meaningful discussions that inspire innovative solutions to global climate challenges.
And now, let's officially begin the inaugural ceremony. To set the tone for the day, may I invite Dr. Diana M.K., Faculty Coordinator, Indo-Dutch Research Center, to deliver the welcome address. Ma'am.
Good morning to one and all present here. It is with immense pressure and deep sense of responsibility that I, Dr. Diane M.K., Faculty Coordinator of the Indo-Dutch Research Center, extend a warm and a heartfelt welcome to each and every one of you to this international workshop on interdisciplinary approach to the climate change education. We are honored to host this event under the aegis of Indo-Dutch Research Center on Climate Change, Law Research and Education, a collaborative initiative between the Government Law College Ernakulam and Van Vollenhoven Institute of Law, Governance and Society under the very famous Leiden University of Netherlands. Today, as we gather here on February 27th, 2025, we are united by a shared concern, the escalating climate crisis. Its impact are no longer a distant threat. They are a present reality affecting communities, ecosystems, and economies worldwide. Addressing this challenge demands innovative solutions. At the heart of these solutions lies education. This workshop recognizes that climate change is not solely an environmental issue. It is a multifaceted challenge that intersects with law, governance, economics, social justice, and countless other disciplines. Therefore, a truly effective climate change education must transcend traditional disciplinary boundaries. This is especially crucial in legal education, where future lawyers and policymakers must be equipped to navigate the complex legal landscape surrounding the climate change and contribute to the development of effective climate policies. Over the next 2 days, we will delve into the critical importance of an interdisciplinary approach to the climate change education. We will explore how integrating diverse perspectives and methodologies can empower educators, students, and citizens. And the workshop especially aims at understanding the complexities of climate change and to develop a critical thinking skills, also to foster collaboration and innovation, and promote climate action by advocacy. This workshop serves as a culmination of the certificate course that Indo-Dutch Research Center has been conducting. This course was designed to provide foundational understanding of climate change issues, and we are incredibly proud of the participants' engagement and dedication. We are amazingly fortunate to have today a distinguished gathering of experts, scholars, educators, and the Netherlands, Dr. Bindu M. Nambiar, Principal Government Law College Ernakulam, whose visionary leadership has been instrumental in establishing and nurturing the Indo-Dutch Research Center. Her steadfast support and innovative educational initiatives, including the integration of climate change into the legal curriculum, has been invaluable. I wholeheartedly welcome ma'am to this workshop. Professor Dr. M.K. Ramesh, Professor of Law in LSIU Bangalore, who has kindly accepted to inaugurate this workshop and share his invaluable insights. Dr. Ramesh's expertise in environmental law and policy developments is highly respected. Sir, we are honored to have you to guide us and we explore the crucial intersection of law and climate change. Welcome you, sir. Nair Abubakar, sir, a senior assistant professor of who is a special mentor of mine and motivator, for offering his for has consented to offer his felicitation. Sir's commitment to
The internet there is giving them a bit of trouble.
So should we log out and log in again? Maybe that.
No, it's not from our side. So
Okay.
they
All
tried
right.
to take it from the college side. Yeah. So
Okay.
sorry for this confusion.
No problem. I mean, you can't really control technical glitches,
Yes.
no matter how much prepared you are.
Thank you. Yes, I think they're back.
Thank you, ma'am, for the heartfelt welcome and for guiding this initiative with such dedication. Before moving on to the next segment, we request your patience for a moment while we solve the technical glitch here.
Next, I invite Dr. Bindu N. Nambiar, Principal, Government Law College at Inaugural, for the presidential address. Ma'am, may I kindly request you to share your thoughts?
Respected dignitaries, colleagues, friends, and my dear students, a very warm good morning to one and all. Today, we are happy to inaugurate this international workshop on climate change. Climate change is not just an environmental issue. When we are hearing about climate change, the first thing which comes to our mind is environment. But it is not simply compressed into that environment issue itself. It has got many aspects, and it can be a social issue, economic, political, and scientific challenge that affects every aspect of our life. Addressing it requires collaboration across disciplines. Then only we can find a solution for this. For that, we should require integrating knowledge from science, technology, policy making, even humanities. Only with the collaboration of all these branches, we can at least find some possible solution for this climate change. Education plays a crucial role in climate change because Only if we educate the society, the children, then only we can apply whatever knowledge we can bring into this to make it apply and bring about the possible disastrous effect of climate change. This workshop is a significant step towards equipping educators, researchers, and students with the tools and perspectives necessary to understand climate change holistically. By bringing together experts from different fields, we hope to cultivate new ideas, encourage cross-disciplinary dialogues, and develop strategies that can be implemented in classrooms and communities alike. I wholeheartedly congratulate our faculty coordinator, Dr. Diana, and project coordinator, Dr. Ria Maman, for their vision and dedication in creating this platform for meaningful discussions and collaborations. I also extend my gratitude to the distinguished speakers and participants who have taken the effort and time to share their knowledge and insight. As we embark on this journey over the course of the workshop, let us remind ourselves that the fight against climate change is not just about knowledge, it is about action. It is about how we translate research into policies, ideas into solutions, and education into real-world impact. Then only we can bring about some changes in our society, in our world. I look forward to valuable discussions and outcomes it will bring about. Let us work together to create a sustainable future for generations to come. Thank you, Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am, for emphasizing the importance of collaborative learning in addressing climate change.
It's a privilege to welcome Dr. M.K. Ramesh, Professor of Law in LSIU Bangalore, to deliver the inaugural address. Dr. Ramesh is a distinguished legal scholar with over 4 decades of teaching experience, specializing in international law, human rights law, and environmental law. He joined NLSIU Bangalore in 1992 and served as Vice Chancellor in 2019. He played a pivotal role in establishing key centers like the Center for Environment Law, Education, Research and Advocacy, and the Environment Law Clinic. A senior Fulbright Fellow, Dr. Ramesh has published extensively on environmental and human rights issues and has served on various national expert committees. His dedication to legal education and policy reform continues to shape the future of law and governance in India. Sir, we are honored to have you with us. I kindly invite you to deliver the inaugural address.
Thank you very much. I deem it a matter of great pleasure and privilege to be here in the international workshop on interdisciplinary approach to climate change education. Climate change, a very humbling feeling. Not just because life has become more miserable, more difficult. Of course, it's a concern, common concern of humanity, as we say, but for the fact that it has made us realize our weaknesses and folly, that has actually led us to the current state of affairs and the plight in which we are right now in. More importantly, climate change has set the ground for a climate to change in every aspect of our lives. Education climate has to change to absorb, adopt, and devise mechanisms to all the concerned and enable them to resile from the adverse impact of climate change. It has triggered a change for our resources, for our well-being, for our health, for development, for our outlook to life, for our future, for the industry, for governance, the structure, and the functioning by everyone concerned. And this is something that's in common, experienced all over the world. And so there has to be a change in the climate of learning, education, and research to keep pace with the changing times here, climate change. As the laboratories of learning, experimentation, and innovation, as incubators of future leaders, universities have to reinvent themselves in reorienting, reworking all their educational, research, and extension activities to borrow from the climate change jargons, stabilize new learnings, adapt to change, reseal from and resist any adverse impact, and mitigate any and insulate against any damage to their environment. Of course, we know that it's not just an educational venture that we get into here. It has triggered a phenomenal change in our very thinking as policymakers, as enforcers, as interpreters, and there has to be a convergence in functioning and working all our plans, all your national action plans on climate change need have to be geared towards that. And education has a very important role to play in that. In fact, it has made us begin to understand the rhythms of nature, which we had long forgotten, which does not operate in those compartments of various disciplines that we have evolved over a period of time in our educational ventures, as it is the case with administration, where it's divided into several compartments of departments, divisions, and ministries, and there has to be a convergence. And as people in the educational field, this breaks the boundaries of disciplines. No academic research worth the name can think of his discipline unrelated to climate change now. That's a hard reality. Curriculums need have to be designed to meet this need. Research ventures to be redesigned to accommodate inquiries about climate change. And I do believe law schools and law teaching institutions are ideally suited to trigger such a transformation in education research. For the simple reason, law by definition is a transdisciplinary discipline. It's a discipline which transcends disciplines, and so is climate change, and so is our need to really bring all of them together. And you cannot think of a better device than law and law education. Let me just dwell very quickly into different aspects of this change for interdisciplinary venture in law education. We needed to really rework on our curriculum. And you know that we have all our courses on land laws, environmental laws, natural resource management law, corporate law, IPR law. They are directly or influenced by climate change, and they need to really gear up to bring in that kind of a change in the curricular content, and they would invariably be infused with contributions from climate sciences, technology, economics, sociology, anthropology, human rights, and what have you. But interestingly, we do really need changes to be effected in other curricular designs as well in law, administrative law, for example. And the management discipline, when it deals with administrative law, either corporate administration or the general administration, need have to rework the structure and functionings of each aspect of governance to bring in that much needed harmony or the convergence in the functioning of each one of them. In fact, this is something which is in dissonance. And how do you really contribute to bring in that harmony in the functioning of different agencies of state is of vital significance in governance. And so even teaching of administrative law and teaching of management discipline have to have this kind of an orientation to be of some use and value for people in that venture. Similarly, in the constitutional law, which is the fundamental law of the land, when we deal with the 3 tiers of governance, we need not have to stop at that. We need have to go a little beyond of bringing in the elements of participation of people, of corporate engagement in natural resource management, and to look into the spaces that are right now available in the Constitution, which facilitates that kind of a participation, engagement, and total involvement in the whole scheme of natural resource management. Public trusteeship, as we talk of, among the different agencies of state, the directive principle of state policy to be given effect to the Article 39, Clause B and C, as you know, very directly are in relation to the way in which how our climate is not managed by us. And what are those basic ethical directive principles that we need to adhere to as the managers of our environment, as the policymakers and implementers. We need to really find place for all this in the whole system of governance. And so the curricular content in teaching courses of this kind, both in law and other disciplines, ought to have this kind of an infusion. Unless that is done, there is no point in continuing with our educational ventures, because we need to have this paradigmatic shift to occur in that. Similarly, in teaching of international law, law of the sea, air and space law, climate science, economics, oceanography, geology, and even political science do really matter in teaching of international law, and especially in preparation for international negotiations, which is something which is never done so far, but that need have to be done as part of the curricular content and as part of the pedagogy. Similarly, in the courses on biodiversity, plant varieties law, and even on agriculture, I think there is a lot of borrowing that's to be done from various other disciplines. Let me not elaborate too much on that, but when it comes to pedagogy, I'm quite sure that in this workshop, when you have several breakout sessions, you would be doing that, because there is no need for any more talk about this. It's time for action now. And the pedagogy need have to be action oriented. Practical exercises should have to embellish every course, which should accommodate climate justice, safeguarding the interest of vulnerable groups, securing legal protection of innovations, skills, traditions, and practices. Now, that's very interesting. In our educational ventures, we have been very much taken up by these modern developments, and even the system of governance in law, we have come up with these new modern techniques and methods, forgetting our traditions and practices, which have been far more environmentally benign and far more climate resilient. And I think they need to find place in the pedagogical passage that we get into as teachers. And especially, it should be victim-centric, because climate justice is the ultimate goal of climate law, as we know. Protection of traditions, skills, and practices and ways of life of communities that are rooted in climate stabilizing and environmentally benign practices should have to take the center stage henceforth in both curricular planning and in the pedagogy. Compliance and adaptation to environmentally benign practices in enterprises, in developers, and industrial units is something which should find place in our pedagogic exercises. Educating and equipping consumers, that's something as an extension work in educational ventures needed to find place. Please recall the 25th, 26th, and 27th Conference of Parties, in which this was highlighted. Mission life, lifestyle for environment is something as a clarion call that was given for people to adopt, to bring in that climate of change, not just in administration, but also in the enterprise, to supply you what you want. And when once the consumer makes the choice, no enterprise, no corporate entity can have its way and continue to be the villain of the piece in causing the climate change that we are being subjected to right now. For all this, there is absolutely no choice but to adopt a transdisciplinary approach with law forming the base, the core, the cushion, and the fulcrum of all future legal endeavors. Well, I can go on forever, but the only point is I'm supposed to inaugurate this particular workshop, and many of the things that I've said, you're already familiar with. The only point that I just would like to emphasize is that how do you really bridge the gap between and among the different disciplines? Climate provides you the ideal ground. And amidst this adversity of climate change, we should seize this opportunity. We should seize this opportunity of bringing in the unification of disciplines here, because knowledge is not divided. Human life is not divided. Nature is not divided. I think we have to learn from nature. At least if we learn from the adverse impact of climate change, we can usher in this kind of a change in the educational ventures that we get into, that henceforth no more these barriers, cartographic barriers of disciplines. They need to converge, and law can really be the glue to bring all of them together. I take immense pleasure in inaugurating this particular program, and I hope and expect that in the course of the deliberations here, you would be able to come up with that kind of a tool and toolkit for educational ventures in different disciplines to bring in that kind of a convergence, to be of some value and utility for the powers that be. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your thought-provoking address and for setting the stage for this workshop with your valuable insights and decades of expertise.
To express our gratitude to our distinguished guests and presenters and acknowledge their contributions, I invite Mr. Main Abu Bakr, Assistant Professor, Government Law College at Inaugural, to deliver the felicitation address. Sir.
Chief Guest of the Day, Dr. M.K. Ramesh, Visiting Principal, Inaugural, Coordinator, Dr. Diana, Honorable dignitaries on the rise, some of the rise, and attended the function through online. So we have witnessed a very good inaugural speech from our distinguished guest and suggested various measures for the particular subject, which are going to be discussed for the next 2 days in our interdisciplinary workshop on this.
If you can be a little more closer to the microphone, then we would have been audible.
Okay. Okay, sir. It is indeed a privilege to me to stand before you on this remarkable occasion, the inauguration of international workshop on interdisciplinary approach to climate change education. This is another significant milestone in our continuous journey towards promoting knowledge and action in the area of climate change an issue that affects each and every one of us globally. Of course, just few days ago, our institution have witnessed and executed a memorandum of understanding with the prestigious Van Vollenhoven Institute for Law and Governance and Society under the renowned Leiden University, Netherlands. Of course, this MOU focuses on fostering knowledge exchange in the critical area of climate change law, an area that has been gaining increasing global attention. We have already made strides by conducting scientific course on the climate change law, and now this international workshop is at another step in your commitment to addressing this pressing challenge. As we all know, climate change is not only a scientific, social, or economic issue, but also a matter of law and policy. Legal framework plays a crucial role in mitigating the impact of climate change, facilitating adaptation, and managing the climate-related disasters. Laws related to climate change, such as those concerning environmental protection, pollution control, and disaster preparedness, are vital tools in shaping our collective response to this crisis. Of course, we are well aware that right to life and right to equality enshrined in many constitutions, including our own constitution, must be understood in the context of clean and stable environment. Without clean and stable environment, we cannot ensure a clear right to life and right to equality as enshrined in our constitution. If climate change and environmental degradation continue unchecked, they will lead to acute shortage of food, water, and resources. It is the most vulnerable and marginalized communities who will bear the heaviest burden, exacerbating inequalities and poverty. This workshop is a timely and crucial opportunity to discuss various matters concerning about the climate change education, and it is going to be addressed by academicians, practitioners, policymakers from across the world. It serves as a platform for interdisciplinary dialogue, where legal experts, scientists, policymakers, and educators can elaborate, collaborate, and explore sustainable, effective solutions to climate change education. I wish all the participants a fruitful discussions and an enriching experience throughout this workshop. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words and for recognizing the collective effort that made this event possible.
Next, we have the certificate course report presentation by Dr. Ria Roy Mamer, project coordinator and postdoctoral fellow, Leiden University, the Netherlands. Dr. Ria has been instrumental in coordinating research efforts between institutions, bridging academic knowledge with practical applications in climate change law and education. Ma'am, may I kindly invite you to present the report.
Thank you very much, and I'm presuming I'm audible. I take this opportunity to give a report of the certificate course that we've conducted from February 4th to February 25th. The idea of the certificate course to expose the students of law to the complexities of climate change and also set the tone for further research, which looks at other disciplines and help them understand that law does not exist in silos. So the focus, with the focus of this particular climate change course, we had opened this to 50 students, 40 students primarily from Government Law College and 10 students from students outside. As this was our first experiment, we wanted to make sure we have a close group. But the response from the students was remarkable, and we had a number of students on the waiting list, but we may ensure we keep it to the close group. The entire course was stretched out for 3 weeks, including interactive lectures and assignments. And it was offered by 12 faculty, with 8 of them joining us from Leiden University and 4 from India. And when we chose faculty members to engage in the certificate course, the purpose was to ensure it doesn't stay with legal faculty. Rather, we have faculty from different and diverse disciplines. That showed the students the intersectionality and how different disciplines come into this picture. So we would, as I discuss through the days in brief in the next 5 minutes, you'll see that the combination of subjects was with the idea that they don't get a complete understanding, but they're exposed to all of these concepts. The 2 weeks of interactive lecture ranged from different topics, from setting the legal framework to understanding the anthropological background to sociological understanding to environmental studies and so on. So let me just take you through the 2 weeks of interactive lecture and the assignments. The day one started with the foundation set by the course coordinators, to helping the students understand the entire purpose of the course, what it means to have an interdisciplinary understanding, what is it about interdisciplinarity that we are trying to bring into climate change, looking at different disciplines about science and technology, again about environmental studies and so forth. Following which, on the second day, we were fortunate to have with us Professor Margaret Singh, who is also representative of the small island nations at the International Court of Justice, who set the strong foundation about climate change litigation. Professor Singh's lecture focused about the growing concern about litigation, how climate change has taken a space among judiciary, not just at the national level, but also with the international forum, with the case pending at ICJ. Professor Singh also shared her insights as a representative of the small island nations about the various challenges, hurdles in proceeding with the litigation, and the importance to have a strong foundation of other disciplines in it. Following which, day three saw two sessions. One was from Dr. Emily Strange, who is an environmentalist and ecologist, who shared their insights with the idea of biodiversity, importance of understanding ecology, and to have that as a foundation to actually get a grasp of the climate change laws. This was complemented by Dr. Vidya's session on legal principles and historic transition of climate change laws, which looked at the national legislations and the international principles that looked at climate change overall. Following this, we had Professor Adrian, who shared insights about the complicities that shared between global north and global south. This was particularly taken in considering the political scenario and changing situation at the moment. The examples taken were from the practices that was followed in the Netherlands as well as those in Indonesia. It considered how the legal framework was a reflection of political scenario, the governance, atmosphere, and so on. Thereafter, we had a session from Danya, research scholar at Groningen University, and myself, where we looked at how the European framework works around climate change, difference of their policies, and we try to evaluate those policies in the light of Indian policies, Indian legal framework, and look at how they're distinguished, how they're similar, and how it complies with the international law. Following this, we had Dr. Lisa Harms, who's a sociologist and who focused on socio-legal research, who gave insights into the idea of climate justice, understanding how the community impacts from the principles adopted, and how the socio-legal approach is necessary to understand climate change laws in its totality, where she focused particularly on the rights of nature, taking examples from India. Following which, we had our Professor Dr. Girishankar sir, who shared insights into how the constitutional principles and the judicial pronouncement worked in the Indian context, where he also looked at the idea of decentralized governance and federalism. This was followed by Dr. Math, who is an anthropologist and also a scholar and also an assistant professor at Leiden University, who looked at the implication of culture, practice, and the role of ethnographic research in understanding the principle of climate change, the community, and so on. Since Matthew's area also covers understanding India as a context in food security, he shared his insights in this particular concept to the students. This was followed by Rakia's presentation, a scholar at National School of India University, where she governed on the other sides of engaging with renewable resources, economic constraints, and the idea of nuclear station. Followed this, again, we had Professor Dr. Bernardo, whose research focuses on land rights and climate change, who highlighted the challenges faced by government, especially in the context of understanding understanding the principles of engaging with land rights and climate change. This was followed by, in fact, a nice conclusion to the entire certificate course was given by Bindu S. Nambia, who gave insightful and understanding about climate finances, sustainable finances, the importance to understand it in its cross-sectionality. Apart from the lecture, the students were exposed to assignments and evaluation, including evaluation of the Brahmapuram situation in the context of the Paris Convention and the legal policies to ensure situations such as Brahmapuram doesn't arise. Now, when you look at these courses and the structure, efforts were taken to make sure the students were exposed to different perspectives rather than giving them a core understanding as an introductory course. This also showed them the complexities that revolve around a subject like climate change, and to also help them understand this is not just an environmental issue, rather an issue that affects every aspect of our life. And as lawyers, we take the responsibility to be the forerunners. So with this whole round concept, we had the 3 weeks of interaction and training. And to conclude the certificate course is why we have the 2-day international workshop planned out, again arranged in the theme that caters to this interest and as a platform for the stakeholders to share their ideas and know-hows to make sure we have a revised, revamped, and improvised curriculum that can benefit the students. Thank you so much.
For the comprehensive report, it's truly inspiring to see how collaborative research is driving change in climate education.
As part of today's program, we now have a special segment. We have a video presentation wherein some of the participants of the certificate course will be sharing their learning experiences and reflections on the program. Let's move on to the video. Let's wait for a short while the video is being played.
Completed a certificate course on interdisciplinary approach to climate change, and I must say the entire course was incredibly insightful, backed with real-world case studies and providing me with a better understanding of climate science and more realistic solutions that I can implement with. So I do have a personal favorite from the sessions. It is from Dr. Emily Spring, where she explained how the biodiversity crisis gets affected by the climate change that's going on around us. It was at the same time shocking to understand and also a fascinating learning experience. So I highly recommend this to anyone who is interested in making a difference. Thank you.
Time immemorial, human beings have carelessly exploited the nature. However, climate change gives us an opportunity to look back. I see this course we took for the past 2 to 3 weeks as an exercise training us young upcoming lawyers to practice the same. From looking at climate change through global political developments or debates on rights of nature or comparing various climate change governance frameworks, I found these classes to slowly make me realize the vastness of climate change and how it percolates into every nook and corners of our daily lives.
Hey, my name is Shreya Donedia and I'm a third-year law student at SLS Noida. Recently, I undertook the certificate course on interdisciplinary approach to the climate change laws. And I would say, as someone who's very new to this field, this course completely changed my perspective and allowed me to understand that climate change is not something that grows in isolation. We had faculty from India and across India from the Netherlands leading university as well, which allowed us to gain a comparative understanding of how the climate change laws they evolve in India and in Europe. Apart from that, we were given the reading material beforehand to understand and form a foundation before attending the lectures. Apart from that, I would say it was a very great learning experience for me, and it allowed us to correlate the subject of climate change with other disciplines like sociology, anthropology, economics, environmental science, and to learn about concepts like climate change, climate finance, and it really broadened my understanding, and I would really look forward to being a part of more such courses.
Hello, my name is Muhammad Adil Raza and I am a second-year law student at Inaugural Muslim University. I attended the certificate course on interdisciplinary approach to climate change law, and I am very thankful to the organizers for providing such an opportunity. And a special thanks to the teachers who kept the session interactive, even being it online. It gave me a new perspective about law, how it can affect the climate change. Thank you.
Fine.